Hello, I'm David Barlow. I'm a Hawaii personal injury lawyer, and today we are going to discuss the 12 do's and don'ts when you have been in an auto accident in Hawaii. This list is found on a page on our website. Click on the free advice link, and then you will find it there, the 12 do's and don'ts. And so first of all, the first do is to call the police after a car accident. This sounds very obvious, but unfortunately there are a lot of people who don't call the police. For some reason, the other driver convinces them to just exchange information, don't make a big deal of it, and that can create problems down the road when people start denying what happened and maybe you don't have all the information that you need. The next do is go to a medical facility as soon as possible. If you are injured, you should strongly consider getting in an ambulance, taking the ambulance to the hospital. A lot of injuries don't really show up immediately. Usually you have adrenaline going and a lot going on, and you're not really able to really think about what your injuries are at the time. So you should strongly consider, if it was a powerful collision, going and getting checked out. Obviously, the first reason for that is so that you get the treatment that you need to get better. But secondly, that's a big indicator for your injury claim, whether you were actually injured or not. Although some injuries don't show up for a day or two, of course, a lot of adjusters like to point out that you didn't even get in treatment that first day. So definitely consider getting treatment right away. Thirdly is to call a lawyer as soon as possible. I know you may think, of course, he's going to tell me that, but even if you don't call us, this is just really important advice to always call a lawyer as soon as you can. And this means hopefully the first day of the accident. At least a minimum the first week. You'll see if you're in an accident that almost immediately insurance adjusters are calling, medical facility billers are calling. Everyone almost immediately within the first 24 hours wants to take recorded statements, wants to get a lot of information. And so you really want to make sure you're getting good advice right from the beginning. And sadly, if you do wait too long to hire a lawyer, it can actually be really hard to get a lawyer later on. A lot of people try to handle it on their own, and that's great if you want to do that, but just keep in mind that that is a decision that you may not be able to reverse later on, because us injury lawyers, we prefer that we know that everything was handled correctly right from the beginning. You can make mistakes, say the wrong thing in recorded statements or whatever it is, and actually mess up or possibly even ruin your case. And so, that makes it hard for a lawyer to come on later. We have taken cases a year later, several months later, but we're going to be a lot more, we're going to scrutinize it a lot more to really make sure that you handled everything correctly, so that we don't take on a case that we're not able to get you a settlement for. Next is to get as much treatment as possible. It's really important, if you're injured, that you get treatment. Naturally, a lot of us, we like to try to handle things on our own and hope that we heal on our own. However, in an injury claim, your medical records, that is your evidence in your injury claim. And so if you're not getting the treatment, there's no evidence, and therefore insurance adjusters assume that you're not injured. Obviously, you want to get as much treatment as possible, primarily to get better, right? That's always the most important thing. The fifth thing is to have your medical providers send their bills to the NoFault insurance. This is really, really, really important. It really makes a mess when your medical providers send their bills to your personal health insurance, and that makes a mess because the bills need to go to your NoFault insurance. that is your insurance for the vehicle that you're in, there should be $10,000 in medical benefits. And in Hawaii, you have to use at least 5,000 of those 10,000 in benefits, or you cannot pursue a bodily injury claim. So even if your personal health insurance pays over 5,000, you still won't be able to pursue an injury claim. Not to mention your personal health insurance, if you get a settlement for your injuries, they may ask to be reimbursed for your injuries. This is an area of law that's still developing. It's still debatable, you could say, but you know, why even have that issue if you could just use the 10,000 in medical benefits that you already have. Number 6, keep your lawyer informed regarding your treatment. This is important so that we know what's happening. We want to make sure you're getting treatment. So if you keep us informed that, oh, I'm not going to treatment, I just don't have time for it, we can remind you how important that is. And certainly once you're done with treatment, that's the time when we can move forward with the settlement. So the sooner you're done with treatment and you let us know, we can move forward with settlement. Okay. Number 7, keep in mind that the settlement process takes time. All right. So unfortunately, you know, most things in the world are getting faster and faster and faster. You know, your internet speeds, your Amazon deliveries, all that, it's always getting quicker. The settlement for injuries, it's not quite keeping up with that. I think it is getting a little quicker than it was over 10 years ago when I started as an injury lawyer, but it still takes time. Insurance companies, they staff their adjusters at a level so that, you know, adjusters aren't sitting around waiting for claims to come in. They actually have a big pile of work on their desk. So it does take time. It takes 1 month for them to even review all the medical records and bills and make a settlement offer. And then if you really want to make sure you get the best settlement you can, you need to take your time within the negotiation process. If they know you're eager and in a big hurry to settle, then they are not going to give you a very good settlement offer. So just keep in mind it takes time. Don't blame your lawyer because it's not as fast as you would like. Keep in mind your lawyer does not get paid until he gets you a settlement. So he has just as much interest as you in getting the case settled as soon as possible. Number 8, be reasonable with your settlement expectations. This is really important because if you're not reasonable, then the case won't settle. You end up in court. And just because you go to court doesn't mean you're going to get what you want either. There's a defense attorney fighting hard to make sure you don't get anything. And juries also are really tough. They don't always just give people what they want. So you want to make sure you're reasonable. In other words, if you don't just pick a number and say that's what I want. You know, that's completely kind of irrelevant because that number you pick, it may or may not be reasonable. All right. We do get that quite a bit where people say, oh, I want this amount no matter what. And you're just like, what's that based on? Is that based on average settlement offers, average jury awards? No, it's just a number they picked. Well, you know, that's just not an accurate way to decide on a reasonable settlement. So you got to keep in mind how serious your injuries were, how many medical bills you had, if you had wage loss, if you have permanent injuries, all of that. All right, you got to be reasonable. If you do have very minor injuries that heal in a couple months, you're not looking at, you know, big, huge amounts. You're looking at $5,000, $10,000, maybe $20,000 settlement. All right, your bigger settlements, the 6-figure settlements, that's when people had surgeries and really, you know, long-term, really bad injuries. Obviously, it just goes up from there. You know, horrific injuries, maybe $500,000 or more. But we're talking really horrific type things, you know, where people actually, it's completely changed their life forever. So just keep that in mind, and you know, it can't hurt to ask your lawyer's opinion. Sadly, a lot of clients, they just don't almost want to know our opinion and what cases usually settle for. They just tell us, I want this amount, get it for me. And then they blame us when they don't get what they want. Obviously, if we could get 6 figures for every single client, we would love to do that. But, there are the constraints there with the insurance companies, of course. They would also be bankrupt if they just gave everybody what they wanted. Number 9, remember that there are hundreds of accidents in Hawaii every week, and that insurance companies would quickly go bankrupt if everyone got what they want. I guess I already got ahead of myself on that. But just keep that in mind. I know it's easy to think, oh, this is the biggest accident of the year, and I'm their only claim of the year. But honestly, our phone is always ringing. There's accidents all the time. And, it's sad to say, but it's just very, very common. So insurance companies just, honestly, they would just not even be in business if they just wrote a blank check to everyone that got in an accident. Number 10, of course, you got to be nice to your lawyer. Why not, right? There's no reason to treat your lawyer badly. Don't take it out on him. I guarantee he or she is doing whatever she can to get you the best settlement possible. Don't forget, they get probably a third of the settlement. So they have the same interest as you. So there's no reason to get mad. Understandably, this is a frustrating time for you, and you may want to take it out on somebody or something, but try not to take it out on your lawyer, just because there's really no point in that. In a way, you're kind of partners in this claim process, so you need to work together and have a good, friendly relationship. Number 11, strongly consider accepting a reasonable settlement offer. I kind of talked about this already as well. If there's a reasonable offer, you really should strongly consider taking it. Just because it's not the exact amount or you want a couple thousand more, you really have to take into account the other option. The only other option besides settling is to go to court. And it's not a great option unless you really have to. Most of the time, insurance companies are pretty, I want to say really reasonable, because, we're never really very happy with the settlement. But most of the time, they have a good idea on what a jury would award you, what an arbitrator would award you. So they're going to come in somewhere around that range. So it's very uncommon that an insurance company offers you one thing and then you deserve 10 times more at a trial. It happens sometimes. You get just maybe a new adjuster, or just a really miserable adjuster or insurance company. But most of the time, it's going to be in the ballpark. Again, it's not going to be the exact amount that you wanted, and it's not going to be something that you're jumping up and down about in excitement. It's just going to be something like, oh, okay, yeah, thank you. I got my case settled. Now I can move on with my life. That's kind of what it's all about. This is not a lottery. This is not, oh, I can't wait to settle. I need to, buy a new car or a new house. No, it's just compensate you for what you went through. Okay. And number 12, of course, strongly considering hiring our law firm. We are really good at what we do. We've been doing this for many, many years. We've gotten hundreds of clients, great settlements. We'll obtain millions of dollars for our clients. We're really good at what we do. So please really strongly consider hiring us. We always return phone calls and emails within one business day. And we do everything we can to get you a settlement as soon as possible. Okay, thank you for listening, and have a great day.